Really quickly before we start this video, I would like to announce that I now have a Patreon account where people who want to go that extra mile with their support can fund me. For as little as $1 a month, you can ensure I'll be here tomorrow posting new content. It comes with a lot of rewards such as early patron only content, have a shout out in every video I post, you can submit ideas for videos, pretty much ask me anything Guild Wars 2 related, and there's much more such as coaching and other great rewards. Becoming a patron is not necessary but is greatly appreciated beyond words, and to anybody who does decide to become one, I cannot thank you enough. You can check out the page in the description below. Now, onto the video we go. Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Noody, also known as Noodica. Today I'll be going over 5 tips and tricks for Dagger Pistol Thief that I think will help some new to intermediate players improve their gameplay. It has been highly requested for me to make this video because of my Dagger Pistol outnumbered World vs World roaming videos, so I tried my best to put together some of my favourite tips and tricks. Keep in mind though that Dagger Pistol has been played for years upon years, so to experienced players, don't be surprised if you know most if not all of these tricks and combos. This is more aimed to help players who are new or intermediate with the build. This isn't a full class guide, and in order to understand some of the terms that I'll use, you'll probably have to at least be familiar with Dagger Pistol. If a complete guide is highly requested, then I'll be more than happy to make one. This is the current build I'm running right now in PvP. In World vs World I am running Executioner to make up for the damage lost from the last patch on the Dagger auto attack and Pulmonary Impact. I don't recommend that to newer players. If you are going to do it, I would go with Bandit's Defense over Blinding Powder. Without further ado, let's get straight to it. Tip number 5. First up, we've got Black Powder into Heartseeker, into Steel, into Backstab combo. This is a very good opener. This is how it should look. Remember that hitting an enemy from behind with Backstab is always going to maximize the damage. Here are some World vs World examples. This is a very good combo because it maximizes damage. It's better than just stealthing up with Black Powder and hitting somebody with a Steel Backstab. You add in the Heartseeker and it's also much quicker, leaving very little room to react when paired up with Basilisk Venom. Better yet, if you can get it off and interrupt an enemy with Steel, the Pulmonary Impact will add even more to this burst. The good thing about this burst as well is that if enemies begin to suspect it or read this play, you can always just delay your combo by, going into stealth and baiting their reaction, baiting their cooldown, and then bursting them once they're up. My biggest tip for this combo would always be to try and hit them from behind. Backstabs from behind are always going to add a lot of damage, potentially one-shotting people. Tip number 4. Shadow shot backstabs and cancelling your shadow shots to bait cooldowns and dodges and invuln. This is how a shadow shot backstab looks. Pretty much, you want to do this when you don't have Steel available and you need to close the gap with an enemy before your stealth runs out so you can backstab them. If Steel isn't available, it's going to be a pain in the ass to run up to them and actually have to position yourself correctly to do a backstab. The way you do this is by pretty much after you've shadow shot out of stealth, just start spamming 1. Before you connect, your backstab should cast and you should hit them with a backstab instead of the final attack of shadow shot. This is what a shadow shot cancel or a shadow shot stow looks like. You're probably wondering why we would want to cancel shadow shot or, waste it for no reason. First of all, it's not a complete waste. You still get the blind off of it. The main reason we do it is actually because when you're in stealth, the effect of shadow shot shows, especially if you got Incinerator, it's very obvious. So to enemies, it looks like you're about to teleport to them and burst them. So what it does is it'll actually bait out their dodges. For example, a Mesmer's Blood Frenzy or Distortion. It'll bait out blocks. So pretty much, it's like a setup. It's a mind game. Getting them to waste their cooldowns so then you can set them up for a big burst. So there are 2 ways to do this. The first way is to go into your control options, scroll all the way down in miscellaneous and add a keybind for stow, and you pretty much just need to stow your weapon as soon as you cast shadow shot. The second way is to actually dodge as soon as you shadow shot. So obviously the first way is much more efficient because you don't have to waste a dodge roll, but it can be a little harder with the timing. Tip number 3. The next tip is for Black Powder into Steel. Now this is more situational and can't be relied on all the time. It's better to use against classes or builds that aren't too threatening within melee range. Not that it can't be used against melee classes. For example, it can be used on a warrior, but you'd want to have to burn a warrior's resistance and his cooldowns before you've done it. It can be very good against necros, rangers, revenants, guardians. There's not much it isn't good against, but you just need to choose your timing right depending on the class. Once you've blinding powder stole in, you can cleave them down. It blinds them, prevents them from hitting you with big cooldowns, and also from there you can Heartseeker into it, stealth and backstab. There are lots of things you can do with this. The best use for this combo would probably be in PvP when you're fighting on a point. It's not very often I use this combo just because I feel like steel can be used better. However, it can definitely be used in a very good way given the right situation. And it's also a good way to switch up your bursts and be a little more unpredictable. Tip number 2. Using headshot to interrupt heals and baiting out passives, such as a warrior's auto balance stance trait. With headshot, you don't want to spam it because you can run out of initiative very quickly. If you saw the first clip in the video, you'd see that I was spamming headshot a little bit. You're only really going to get away with this against bad players like the ones in the first clip, where, for example, with a Necro, the Scepter auto-attacking, it's very easy to interrupt. This can be done with Rangers or Mesmers, just about any person who is going to keep auto-attacking you. So that's the only time you're really going to get away with it. I'd never spam headshot against a good player, because if you find yourself with no initiative, you're definitely going to get caught. The best time to use headshot is to interrupt heals and trigger enemy passives, but this isn't the only time you can use it. Remember that interrupting an enemy does trigger pulmonary impact through your Daredevil traits, so you're going to get some damage off of it. Like I said, if you are versing a bad player who's just going to keep auto-attacking you, of course, you can spam headshot. I mean, why wouldn't you take advantage of that trait? But using headshot to interrupt heals can really swing fights around and turn them in your favor. If you do have Sigil of Draining, then you're going to also heal off of interrupting enemies as well. Keep in mind that when you steal, you'll also heal, so if you steal interrupt, you're going to get healed by both Sigil of Draining and stealing as well. But Sigil of Draining is only in World vs. World right now. Tip number 1. My last major tip is don't rely on stealth too much. Use short stealth periods and keep your enemy pressured. I see way too many dagger pistol thieves spend way too much time and initiative on trying to stealth up, and they just don't have enough pressure on their enemy to cause any threat. So you gotta remember to always keep pressure on them. The only reason you really want to keep re-stealthing is either if you're bursting or if you're trying to break target to avoid getting hit by something that's possibly going to kill you. For example, if you're versing a thief or a mesmer, of course stealth is going to be a little more important because they can potentially one-shot you, and you can one-shot them. So being in stealth is very important because it can create an opportunity to one-shot them. But if you're versing most classes such as a warrior or a guardian, you being in stealth isn't going to create much of a threat to them. They've got lots of sustain, and constant pressure is the only thing that's going to finally take them down, not you wasting all your initiative on stealthing and breaking target while their heals are ticking and they're not under any immediate pressure. So keeping pressure on your targets is pretty much the main point here. Don't spend too much initiative on stealth. Stealth is good for 3 things, which is breaking target, bursting, and baiting cooldowns. I've also got 3 bonus tips to help sharpen up your gameplay. The first one is to learn other classes. The thing about Dagger Pistol Thief is that you fight every single class differently. You don't fight a thief the same way you fight a warrior, you don't fight a warrior the same way you fight a necro, so on and so forth. So learning the patterns with different classes is very important to how you approach a fight, because no one way will work with every single class. The second bonus tip is that you can Infiltrator's Arrow behind you. This can be very useful in PvP to bait people and then actually get a decap on them once they chase you. My third and final bonus tip is that you can interrupt a warrior's full counter. The only thing you have to do is make sure that you pop his balance stance auto trait first, otherwise it won't work. But if that's been popped, you can interrupt their full counter with a steal. That's going to wrap up this video. If you did enjoy it, I'd subscribe because there's plenty more to come. I plan on doing another series where I show you how to fight every different class and how you can beat them with Dagger Pistol Thief, possibly other thief builds too. I'm definitely open to that. If you do have any suggestions, let me know. But yeah, I'll look forward to doing some more guides to help you guys. Thank you for watching, and I hope this helped.